Ladies and gentlemen, throughout history, words have shaped nations, ignited revolutions, and inspired generations. A single speech delivered with passion and purpose has the power to change the course of humanity. Today, we gather not just to celebrate words. Words have an extraordinary power, the power to inspire, to heal, to unite, and to ignite change. Throughout history, some of the greatest moments of transformation have been sparked by words spoken at the right time, by the right person, with the right intent. Speeches in particular have shaped the course of nations, motivated people to rise above adversity, and planted the seeds of revolutions. Whether it is a call for justice, a plea for unity, or a demand for change, words hold the ability to move people in ways that few other forces can. A powerful speech does not just communicate information. It stirs emotions, shifts perspectives, and imprints itself in the minds of those who hear it. Consider Martin Luther King Jr.'s "I Have a Dream." His words painted a vision of a future that many longed for, but had never dared to articulate so boldly. His voice carried the weight of history, the pain of oppression, and the unshakable hope for a better tomorrow. That speech did not just inform people about racial injustice. It moved them to action, awakening a collective conscience that helped drive the civil rights movement forward. Similarly, Winston Churchill's "We Shall Fight on the Beaches" was not just a speech about war, it was a declaration of resilience, a rallying cry that steeled the hearts of the British people during one of their darkest hours. His words became a weapon as powerful as any military force, reminding his nation that surrender was not an option. With nothing but his voice and conviction, he instilled courage where there had been fear. The power of words lies in their ability to connect with people on a deep emotional level. A great speech does not rely solely on facts, statistics, or logic. It speaks to the soul. It taps into universal human experiences: struggle, hope, perseverance, and triumph. This emotional connection is what makes certain speeches timeless. Decades or even centuries after they are spoken, they continue to inspire because they reflect truths that transcend any single moment in history. Words also have the power to unite people under a common cause. Nelson Mandela's speeches after his release from prison did more than celebrate freedom. They called for reconciliation in a country torn apart by apartheid. Instead of fostering division, his words encouraged forgiveness and unity, shaping the foundation of a new South Africa. He understood that words could be used as bridges rather than weapons, bringing people together instead of tearing them apart. Even in our everyday lives, the power of words is undeniable. A single phrase of encouragement can uplift someone in despair. A heartfelt apology can heal wounds. A message of hope can remind someone that they are not alone. The greatest speeches in history are not great simply because of the words themselves, but because of the profound impact they have on those who hear them. In the hands of a skilled speaker with a true purpose, words become more than just sounds. They become a force capable of shaping the world. A truly great speech does not fade with time. Instead, it continues to inspire, influence, and shape future generations long after it is delivered. The most powerful speeches are not just relevant in the moment, but have a lasting impact that transcends eras, cultures, and circumstances. They become a part of history, referenced and revisited whenever society faces challenges similar to those the speech originally addressed. This is what separates a speech that is merely effective from one that is truly great. Its ability to remain meaningful and powerful across generations. One of the most well-known examples of a speech with lasting impact is Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. Though it was delivered in 1863 during the American Civil War, its message of unity, democracy, and sacrifice still resonates today. In just 272 words, Lincoln reinforced the principles of equality and liberty, reminding the nation that it was founded on ideals worth fighting for. Over 150 years later, his words are still studied, quoted, and used as a symbol of national identity and democratic values. The speech's brevity did not diminish its significance. Rather, it made every word count, ensuring that its message would endure. Similarly, John F. Kennedy's inaugural address in 1961 contained a call to action that has remained relevant for decades. His famous line, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country," was more than just a slogan. It was a challenge to every American to take responsibility for their nation's future. That challenge is as meaningful today as it was then, reminding people that leadership. Another powerful speech that has stood the test of time is Nelson Mandela's 1994 inaugural address as South Africa's first democratically elected president. His words marked the end of apartheid and the beginning of a new era, yet their influence extends beyond that historical moment. Mandela's call for unity, reconciliation, and peace remains relevant in today's world, where divisions still exist in many forms. His ability to inspire people to rise above hatred and embrace forgiveness continues to serve as a blueprint for leaders and societies striving for healing and progress. The impact of a great speech goes beyond the speaker's lifetime. Decades after the words are spoken, they continue to be studied, analyzed, and quoted because their message holds universal truths. They address themes that remain constant: freedom, justice, perseverance, and human dignity. As long as these issues exist, the words of great speeches will never lose their relevance. Even in modern times, great speeches continue to shape the world. When Barack Obama delivered his "Yes, We Can" speech in 2008, it was not just a campaign slogan. It became a global mantra for hope and progress. Years later, those words still serve as a reminder that change is possible when people come together with a shared vision. In the end, the greatest speeches are not just echoes of the past. They are voices that continue to guide the future. They remind us of where we have been, inspire us to strive for something greater, and leave a lasting imprint on the hearts and minds of those who hear them. A truly great speech is defined by its ability to deliver a clear and powerful message, one that resonates deeply with its audience and leaves a lasting impact. No matter how eloquent or passionate a speaker may be, their words will not have a lasting effect unless they convey a message that is meaningful, concise, and universally understood. The essence of any great speech lies in its ability to communicate an idea that people can connect with, remember, and act upon. Throughout history, the most iconic speeches have been built around a single, compelling message. Martin Luther King Jr.'s "I Have a Dream" speech was not just a collection of inspiring words, it was a clear vision of racial equality and justice. His message was simple yet profound. He dreamed of a world where people would be judged by the content of their character rather than the color of their skin. This clarity made his speech unforgettable, ensuring that its impact would continue for generations. The speech's message was not buried in complex language or unnecessary details. It was direct, passionate, and deeply resonant. Similarly, Winston Churchill's "We Shall Fight on the Beaches" speech delivered a message of unwavering determination and resilience. During World War II, when Britain faced immense challenges, Churchill did not complicate his words with excessive explanations. Instead, he delivered a clear and powerful message. No matter the odds, Britain would never surrender. His speech instilled courage in the hearts of the people and gave them the strength to persevere. Because his message was straightforward and powerful, it became a defining moment in history. A clear and powerful message is not just about what is said, but also how it is structured. The best speeches use repetition, rhythm, and carefully chosen words to reinforce their core message. Barack Obama's "Yes, We Can" speech, for instance, repeated a simple but inspiring phrase that encapsulated his entire campaign's theme of hope and change. By continuously reinforcing this message, he ensured that it became embedded in the minds of his listeners, making it a rallying cry for millions. Another key aspect of a strong message is its universality. The greatest speeches do not just speak to one group of people in a specific moment, they address themes that resonate with a broad audience across time. When John F. Kennedy declared, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country," his words were not just meant for Americans in 1,961 days. The message is meant for almost anyone. All of those people who didn't meet, like they were a call to service, responsibility, and civic duty that remains relevant today. A speech with a clear and powerful message also leaves no room for confusion. It does not overwhelm the audience with too many ideas or abstract concepts. Instead, it focuses on one central idea and builds around it, ensuring that listeners walk away with a strong understanding of its purpose. Ultimately, the most memorable speeches are those that deliver a message that people can hold on to, repeat, and be inspired by. A great speech does not just inform, it moves, motivates, and transforms. Authenticity and emotion are at the heart of every great speech. No matter how well crafted the words or how impressive the speaker's delivery, a speech will not truly connect with its audience unless it is spoken with sincerity and genuine feeling. The most memorable speeches in history were not just intellectually persuasive, they were emotionally powerful because the speaker spoke from the depths of their own convictions, experiences, and beliefs. Authenticity makes a speech credible, while emotion makes it unforgettable. One of the best examples of authenticity in a speech is Martin Luther King Jr.'s "I Have a Dream." His words were not just carefully constructed rhetoric, they came from a deeply personal place. He was not merely reciting a speech, he was sharing his heart, his experiences, and his unshakable faith in a better future. The emotion in his voice, the passion in his delivery, and the personal stakes he had in the movement made his words powerful beyond measure. His speech resonated not just because of what he said, but because people believed that he truly meant every word. His authenticity gave his message credibility, and his emotion made it inspiring. Another example of the power of authenticity and emotion can be seen in Malala Yousafzai's speech at the United Nations. As a young girl who had been shot by the Taliban for standing up for her right to education, Malala spoke not as a politician or a scholar, but as someone who had lived through the injustice she was fighting against. Her speech was filled with raw emotion, yet it was also calm, composed, and full of hope. Because she spoke from personal experience, her words carried immense weight. Her audience could feel her sincerity, which made her message even more powerful. Emotion in speeches does not always come from grand gestures or dramatic words. Sometimes it is found in quiet moments of vulnerability. When former US President Barack Obama delivered his farewell address, there was a moment when he paused, his voice breaking slightly as he spoke about his wife, Michelle. That small moment of raw, unscripted emotion made his speech even more touching and relatable. People connect with speakers who show their humanity, who express genuine feelings rather than merely delivering rehearsed lines. Authenticity also builds trust between the speaker and the audience. When a speaker is sincere, the audience is more likely to believe in their words and rally behind their message. On the other hand, when a speech feels rehearsed, insincere, or overly polished without real emotion, it fails to make a lasting impact. People can sense when a speaker is merely performing versus when they are truly speaking from the heart. The greatest speeches in history were not just well written. They were deeply felt. They carried the emotions of struggle, hope, determination, and a great speech is not just about delivering powerful words, it is about inspiring action. Some of the most memorable speeches in history have moved people to stand up for justice, fight for freedom, or strive for personal and collective change. A strong speech does not merely inform or entertain. It compels listeners to think differently and, more importantly, to take action. This ability to drive change is what separates an ordinary speech from one that truly makes an impact. One of the most famous examples of a speech with a compelling call to action is John F. Kennedy's inaugural address in 1961. His words, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country," were a direct challenge to every American. He urged people to take responsibility for their nation's future, to contribute actively rather than passively waiting for change. This call to action resonated deeply, inspiring generations of Americans to serve in politics, education, social work, and other fields where they could make a difference. Kennedy's speech is remembered not just because of its eloquence, but because it encouraged action on a national scale. Similarly, Martin Luther King Jr.'s "I Have a Dream" speech was not just a vision of hope, it was a demand for justice. His words were a call to action for Americans to fight for civil rights, to march, to protest, and to challenge systemic racism. He did not just speak about a dream, he urged people to work toward making that dream a reality. His speech played a crucial role in motivating the civil rights movement, leading to landmark legislation like the Civil Rights Act of 1964. His ability to inspire action through words made his speech one of the most influential in history. A strong call to action also makes a speech relevant beyond its initial moment in time. When Malala Yousafzai addressed the United Nations in 2013, she did not just speak about the importance of education, she urged world leaders, activists, and individuals to take a stand against oppression and invest in education for all children. Her words were not passive, they were a direct appeal. As a result, her speech contributed to global efforts for girls' education and inspired organizations and governments to take meaningful action. The best speeches do not just provide inspiration, they give people a sense of purpose. They make listeners feel that their actions matter and that they have the power to contribute to something bigger than themselves. Whether it is a leader calling a nation to war, an activist urging people to fight for justice, or a teacher encouraging students to chase their dreams, a powerful speech always leaves its audience with a clear message. This is what must be done. And you have a role to play. Ultimately, a speech that calls people to action is one that creates real change. Words alone are not enough. They must ignite a movement, shift perspectives, and empower individuals to make a difference. The greatest speeches in history are remembered not just because they were spoken, but because they inspired people to act. The ability to speak with belief and conviction is one of the most important qualities of a great speech. When a speaker genuinely believes in their message, this powerful connection between speaker and audience is the foundation of any truly transformative speech. One of the defining characteristics of great speeches is the speaker's deep belief in the cause or message they are delivering. Take, for example, Winston Churchill's speeches during World War II. His belief in the fight for freedom and his determination to stand against the Nazi regime were not just conveyed through his words. Churchill's conviction was so strong that even in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds, he managed to instill hope and resolve in the hearts of the British people. He didn't just talk about the importance of fighting, he believed with every fiber of his being that they could prevail, and his belief was contagious. Similarly, Nelson Mandela's speeches about reconciliation and peace were powerful not just because of their message, but because of his personal belief in those ideals. After spending 27 years in prison, Mandela could have been consumed by bitterness and anger, but he chose to believe in the possibility of a peaceful, democratic South Africa. When he delivered his speeches after his release, his conviction in the need for forgiveness and unity was clear. He wasn't just asking others to believe in reconciliation, he was showing them that it was possible because he himself had lived it. His belief in the goodness of humanity and the future of his country inspired millions, and his words continue to guide efforts toward peace and justice today. The power of belief in a speech is also demonstrated in the speeches of activists and leaders fighting for social change. When women's suffrage leaders like Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton delivered speeches advocating for women's right to vote, they spoke with an unshakable belief in equality and justice. They didn't simply argue their case. They believed with deep conviction that the right to vote was a fundamental human right. Their belief empowered others to join the cause, and their speeches played a key role in securing the 19th Amendment, granting women the right to vote. Belief also has the power to transcend the specific moment in which a speech is given. A speaker who is truly convinced of their message creates an enduring connection with their audience. Martin Luther King Jr.'s belief in racial equality and justice continued to inspire long after his death, and his speeches remain powerful because they are rooted in a deep, unwavering belief in human dignity. His words still spark movements for social justice because his conviction was genuine and universal. When a speaker conveys their message with belief and conviction, they don't just convince their audience intellectually, they connect with them on a deeper emotional level. This connection makes the speech more than just words. It becomes a call to action, a call to hope, and a call to believe that change is possible. A speech that is spoken with true belief